PUBG Black Budget is being marketed as an extraction shooter, but is it? Because today we're going to talk about my experience during the first weekend of the playtest and what I think about this game and its future in the industry. I'm Sav, this ain't your average YouTube clickbait, let's dive in. Okay, so I really wanted to like PUBG Black Budget, and someday in the distant future, I may come around. But after participating in the closed alpha this weekend, I'm feeling it's a bit of a long shot. Now, if you're not familiar with Black Budget, I would not be surprised. It was only just announced in November alongside details of the closed test that started December 12th. Now, I was lucky enough to score access to this playtest, and for that, I'm grateful. But after spending a few hours navigating the forest and lockdown compounds of Coley Island, I walked away feeling pretty meh. So what exactly is Black Budget? Well, PUBG Black Budget is a PvPvE extraction shooter set in the PUBG universe. You play as a contractor sent into a restricted island to recover classified technology while a mysterious phenomenon called the Anomaly slowly collapses the playable area. The game is developed by PUBG Corporation and published by Craft.On Inc. Craft.On, by the way, is the company behind PUBG as a franchise, and this project is part of their push to go beyond the traditional battle royales and into the extraction gold rush. Matches take place on a 2.5 by 2.5 kilometer island and can last up to 30 minutes and support up to 45 players per raid with squads of up to 3. You have the exact same trappings of a traditional extraction shooter: a hideout, traders, a basic economy, weapon customization, and all the gear, ammo, and heals that you want to risk bringing into a raid. When you do choose to head into a raid, you put together a loadout, you choose your spawn point, and off you go into matchmaking. It took me about 2 minutes on average to get into a raid, which is a bit longer than I would have liked, but not terrible. After a couple minutes, you spawn on a beach on the outer perimeter of the island, and right away the controls felt solid and responsive, and the environment at first glance looked pretty standard for an FPS game developed in 2025. I scanned up and down the beach for a moment, wary of other players spawning close by, and sure enough, within the first 20 seconds, I met my first player. And I tell you this to make a greater point. Extraction shooters in general have long suffered from this spawn predicament, but on a map this size, it would make sense that the spawns wouldn't feel so crowded. Unless, of course, you're playing alongside up to 44 other people, which is a lot for an extraction shooter. But this, ladies and gentlemen, isn't your typical extraction shooter. See, the devs have created this hybrid abomination. It's an extraction shooter with a battle royale circle that closes somewhere in the center of the map, which is also where the extracts are, which is also where the good loot is. You picking up what I'm putting down? Now, to be fair, this is less of an extraction shooter with a closing circle and more of a battle royale with a few extraction points. It feels confused, like it's searching for an identity that nobody really asked for. But that's just one issue I have with the game. The other is the PvE aspects of the game. Now, I had more than a handful of encounters with AI in both human and non-human form. Neither impressed me whatsoever, especially the animals. I randomly encountered a couple of Black Panthers just roaming around the map, and they seemed to be quite common and very easy to dispatch with just a couple of shots. For a jungle cat, it was pretty loud and unaware of its surroundings. I was able to walk right up to it within about 5 to 10 meters without it noticing and get the first shots before it even started moving towards me. I even stumbled onto a sleeping crocodile in the middle of the jungle. This giant lizard looked a bit more armored and menacing, so as a precaution, I threw a grenade, and that seemed to do the job. The thing was so still for the entire encounter, I would have mistaken it for a log if it wasn't for the sound of it snoring. And the AI-controlled players were easy enough to cheese. All you had to do was find a little bit of cover and peek out and fire. The only real danger being going loud and revealing your position to the actual players roaming around the map. But once you took out the AI enemies, they had some pretty good loot. The PvP was pretty standard for this kind of game. Headshots when landed seemed to dispatch players quickly, but hitboxes for me anyway felt a little wonky. And for the tropical environment with a saturated jungle floor, the footsteps are extremely loud. Even without a headset, I could hear somebody trudging around through the forest about 60 meters away. Now, it was around this time that I discovered that there is no prone feature in this game. You cannot go prone. There is no laying down in this extraction shooter, which is an odd choice considering the original PUBG had a prone feature and most extraction shooters have a prone feature as well, and yet this game chose otherwise. Now, I can only assume that it was tested with dense foliage and they ultimately decided that it would be too OP to disappear below the bushes. But the inability to go prone sucked the immersion right out of the game for me. While I was looking through the controls, I noticed that the settings were very simple, and I'm assuming that this is because it's just an alpha build. But having more control over graphical settings would have been nice. About 15 to 20 minutes into the first raid, I was full on loot and already had 3 player kills, so I was ready to extract. Predictably, the extracts were right smack dab in the middle of the map inside the safe zone of the closing anomaly. Now, I can see this being a problem for people that are attempting to accomplish tasks or collect high value loot and extract. Not having the choice to find the safe extract on the edge of the map is really frustrating. Being forced into the zone where everyone else is already murdering each other and waiting for you doesn't sound like an extraction shooter to me. It's like watching the devs shoot themselves in the foot. When I did locate the extract, it manifested as a glowing blue and black orb of light, which upon further inspection appeared to be a wormhole back through time. Once activated, the wormhole takes about 30 or so seconds to grow in size and open, all the while announcing through bright light and loud noises that someone is standing in the middle of the road trying to extract. It's definitely a creative take on extraction and could end up being cool if done right, but very little so far gives me hope that this will be anything other than a flop when it comes out on release. Black Budget feels like it has not really found its identity yet. I think the devs are trying to cram too much into this game, and ultimately nothing is done particularly well because of it. If I were Craft-On, I would be telling the developers to pick a lane. Either lean hard into the extraction shooter genre and follow all the other developers that are trying to take advantage of this gold rush, or you could double down on what you know and stick with battle royales. But trying to do both is like wiping your ass with poison ivy. It technically works, but it's counterproductive. Now, ultimately, the game is still in the very early stages of development. Hopefully. PUBG Corporation has a long way to go and some serious decisions to make if they plan on Black Budget having any serious success. If you want to try it for yourself, you can request access directly on the Steam store. I think the following weekend is also going to continue on with the playtest. So let me know in the comments if you had a chance to play and what you think about your experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a lot more content like this planned on this channel. If you're interested in any Grand Theft Auto 6 content, be sure to check out my sister channel, link down in the description. And stay tuned for all things gaming on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.